my dad told me, you need to be a physical therapist that time. And I told my dad, no, I wanted a career wherein I'm very creative. I worked for 2 years in an architectural firm. One day I just said to myself, what am I doing here? That moment, I gave my resignation paper.
Oh, wow.
The next day, all my earnings, I enrolled in fashion school. Our first stint was during the America's Next Top Model. I submitted my designs and Tyra said, oh, Francis, make it more couture.
Okay.
So how couture do you want?
Yeah. I'm interested to know about what you think about young Filipino designers.
They're very...
So what is your next move? For today's episode, we will be talking to a fashion designer whose ability to blend Filipino heritage with contemporary details has earned him acclaim both locally and internationally. Francis Libiran's creations had graced some of the most illustrious red carpets, weddings, beauty pageants, and fashion shows all over the world. Let's discover the story behind the brilliance of Francis Libiran. Hi, Francis.
Hello, Yui.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Francis, I wanted to start off our conversation by asking you about your interest in fashion design. When did that start?
So it started, I think I was 8 years old.
Okay,
Yui.
you're so young at 8. Okay.
You know what? Growing up, my dad's very strict. My mom's very religious.
Okay.
And then I remember just being in the classroom. My mind's so creative.
Yeah.
I was not paying attention to the teachers at all.
Okay. The
It's
lesson.
so creative that
Yeah.
there's like animation going on in
Your head.
my head.
Your imagination.
Yeah, in my
Okay.
imagination. And my mind always plays around with patterns
Mhm.
and a lot of things that I need to draw it on paper. That's why every time there's like my teacher would teach something, my hands is very busy sketching. At
Sketching.
8 years old, I mean,
Yeah.
my interest was in fashion was opened up by watching red carpet events.
Okay.
I was so amazed with how the gowns would like walk on a red carpet
Yeah.
event. I would really like look at magazines during that time, and I remember opening up a magazine and just smelling it first
Oh, wow. Yeah, yeah.
and
That
just
experience.
turning each page
Yeah.
very delicately. And I would just like be in a corner of my room and I would just like
Or over the pages.
imagine everything about
Wow.
it, you know? And designing
Yeah.
at the back of my notebook,
Yeah. Mhm.
I would always have this scene in my head. What if I design something for this particular person?
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And during that time, uso pa yung may commentator pa. Like,
Yeah.
she's wearing a gown like in this material. And I would always recite that while sketching.
Oh, wow. Really? So you were really into details, even those things like the
Yeah.
commentary that was of interest to you.
Very interested with how everything worked out in fashion. The total look, accessories, even the materials.
Yeah, the material.
I was really paying attention and glued my eyes in the TV watching those.
Who were your fashion inspirations growing up?
Growing up,
Yeah.
my first was my mom.
Okay.
My mom would always
Mhm.
bring me with her in her designer, her costurera.
Costurera.
So
Okay.
she would always ask me, Francis, does it look good on me?
Yeah. Okay.
And I would always say,
You'd give feedback.
yeah,
Okay.
not that color. This color would look good on you.
Okay.
So my mom would always ask those questions to
Mhm.
me. And, as a kid,
Yeah.
I'm so interested,
But you were her stylist in a way, like
I guess.
advising as well,
Yeah.
colors and cut.
Anything
Okay.
creative, my
Yeah.
mom would always consult me.
Ask you
Yeah, maybe she saw at a young age
that you
that
had.
I'm very creative already.
What was your personal style back then? Because you said you're creative, and then
Uh-huh.
I'm sure you had an interest in fashion.
Mhm.
Was there like a particular look you were drawn to when you were younger?
I love colors.
Colors, okay.
Yeah, I would always like to pair it and mix and match it, even patterns
Mhm.
during the time. And I would always curate my closet, color coordinated,
Uh-huh.
and try to mix it up with other colors. And sometimes I would go black and then just a pop of red shoes or something
As an accent.
as an accent.
I see. Okay. How about your journey?
Mhm.
I mean, I think some people know that, of course, you took up architecture before
Mhm.
pursuing fashion design. Can you elaborate more on that story?
Um, that time when I was deciding which career path that I want to take, my dad told me you need to be a physical therapist. That time, he wanted us to be all in the medical
The medical
field.
field. How old were you
I
then?
was, I think, 18 that time.
18. Okay.
And I told my dad, no, I don't look good in white.
Okay, that was
so-
our concern. Color. Yeah.
The color. But
Mhm.
really, I wanted a career wherein I'm very creative. So architecture was the closest. I cannot enroll in fashion school that time because my dad will kill me.
Yeah.
So I said, sige, architecture na lang. I think it's very creative. But there's an interest in architecture since then.
Yeah.
So I promised my dad, I'll finish this one. But after graduation, I'm on my own.
You'll pursue
Yeah.
like maybe something that you really
I
like,
really
or
like
which is fashion,
fashion.
if ever.
Yeah.
You know, I'm interested about the architecture bit. How's that like, and how did that help you in fashion or design?
Actually, the discipline in conceptualizing and being creative,
Mhm.
architecture gave me that discipline in doing what I'm doing right now. The proper foundation in doing like a design or something helped me with what fashion is all about also.
So, Francis, I wanted to ask you also, what events in your life led to start your business in fashion?
After architecture, I worked for 2 years in an architectural firm.
Oh, okay.
So I was working in Makati back then.
Mhm.
I remember dressing up for work.
Okay.
And my boss would always tell me, ba't ang porma mo?
You're too dressed
Yeah, I'm
up.
too dressed up. But for me, it's something very
Innate in you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that I need to prepare for my day. So after working for 2 years in an architectural firm, one day I just said to myself, what am I doing here? That moment, I gave my resignation paper.
Oh, wow. Was it impulsive or
It,
like,
it was so impulsive that
Okay.
I said I couldn't work a day in this.
this setup anymore or
Yeah.
environment?
It's just too constricting for me when
Yeah.
it comes to being creative.
Creative.
The next day, all my earnings or my savings, I enrolled in fashion school.
Oh my
That
gosh.
fast.
Yeah. So it was sort of sudden.
Yeah. But you know what? The first day of school, I enjoyed it so much.
You enjoyed it so much. Did you realize that it was worth it?
It was worth it. No amount of money, if you're following your passion, is equivalent to.
Were you a little bit maybe nervous about maybe the risk?
Mhm. The risk, I did not really pay attention to it. As long as I do what I love doing, which is being creative and designing, just imagine being there every day, doing what you love to do.
Mhm.
It's something else.
Mhm. And then after that, what
Mhm.
happened? Did you realize that, I have all the tools already? I'll come up with a brand. I'll do a business plan. How did your brand come about? The business
So,
side.
During while studying,
Yeah.
so I have a business partner back then.
Okay.
So he said that, okay, let's put up a brand. And the brand was York during that time. It's like a retail brand.
What's it called again?
York.
Okay.
NJORK. So we just wanted to sound foreign, but
Okay.
it's really my expression like York or something.
Really? Okay.
So we just played with the idea of that,
That
name,
expression.
a brand.
Yeah.
So while studying, I'm doing that already.
I
And
see.
he was
Okay.
he was running the business. I was the creative side of the business. And then what happened was he had to migrate to the States
Hmm.
during that time.
The
So
time.
I was left alone
Yeah.
with my other business partner, RC Baltazar,
Okay.
which is he's into show business
Yes.
that time.
Yeah.
So RC told me that, Francis, why don't you just use your name?
Mm-mm.
Said, my name? Said, yeah, your name.
Mhm.
Said, okay.
As a brand. Yeah.
As a brand. So he helped me out in shaping the Francis Libiran brand. During that time, I wasn't even confident to face people
Mhm.
or to really sketch in front of my clients.
I see. Okay.
And he told me that, Francis, your sketches are really nice. But I
Mhm.
said, no, it's not that perfect. So RC Baltasar pushed me outside my comfort zone.
Okay.
He told me that your sketches are really nice.
Yes.
And don't put your signature on top of your sketch. Put a big Francis Libiran on the
Okay.
side of your sketch so that
Okay.
people could read it.
Uh-huh. Wow, so we have a lot to thank for KRC
Yeah.
in a way. I wanted to ask you, what was maybe the core look or the design that you wanted to be known for? Is it evening wear? Was it bridal? Was it menswear? Because you've dabbled in three and, become successful at
Yeah.
those three. And that doesn't happen all the time for everyone. But like for you, what is the core maybe design for you? Is it those I mentioned? Is it all?
One time, my neighbor asked me, can you design a wedding gown for me?
Okay.
I said, I haven't designed a wedding gown yet, but I think I can.
Yeah.
So I really tried to design a lot of designs studied her figure and
Yeah.
everything. And it
Yeah.
turned out really well. It's such an emotional feeling because it was my first.
Mhm.
And I remember clearly that I was dressing her up on her special day.
Yeah.
So walking down the aisle, I was on the side, walking with her as well from the
wow.
other side.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was
Just making sure.
teary-eyed.
Oh, wow.
And that
okay.
moment
Yeah.
was so special because I said to myself, you know what? This has a lot of emotions attached to it.
Yeah.
I really wanted to design wedding gowns from
Wedding
now on.
gowns as well. You wanted to pursue that. What were the challenges you experienced when you started? Because being in this business is not easy.
Mhm.
And of course, whether you have all the right tools, finances, like your talent is there, but sometimes you always face some struggles.
Mhm.
Can you share with us some of the challenges you've experienced when you started?
A lot. I remember during my first year of designing, there's this group of teenagers. They asked me, "Can you design a prom dress for me?" And I was so excited that I forgot to price them.
You
So they don't
forgot.
have a budget.
Oh,
Really?
okay. Really? Okay.
Yeah. So that was one lesson for me, that
Oo.
budget first before
Yeah,
sketching.
Before
But
sketching.
during the time, I was just happy,
Happy
being
doing
creative.
it. Yeah.
I really don't mind if I
Oo.
earning from it,
Yeah.
as long as I get to do what I love to do.
Can you share with us your golden rules of style? A style tip that you believe in?
My golden rule of style is it's very emotional.
Okay. Mhm.
Every time I prepare for, for example, for work or for
Yeah.
an event, emotion plays a big part. Every time I try on something and if it doesn't feel good, I try to change it sometimes 10 times.
Okay.
As long as I feel good with what I'm wearing,
Then
I
that's
think
it.
that's it.
Congratulations, Francis, on your 25th year in the fashion industry. How does it feel?
I feel old.
Don't say that. Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
mean, it's a never-ending learning
Okay.
that up to now, I feel like I have a lot of things to learn in this industry.
It's been quite the journey for you.
It is, yeah, but
Right.
an exciting one.
An exciting one. And this 25 years, we've seen you also, of course, evolve.
Mhm.
I mean, as a designer and as a brand. I wanted to ask, how do you maintain the relevance?
How do I maintain the relevance?
Mm.
Maybe it's more of really, if you love what you're doing, you would want to innovate
Mhm.
things that you do, through techniques, designing.
Yeah.
I'm never set with this type of design.
Yeah.
I always try to evolve my own aesthetics
Yeah.
and try to innovate in terms of technology.
Technology. Okay. Do you think that it's important to evolve with your audience too when you're
It's very important, to stay relevant. You really need to evolve as a designer. You cannot be insisting on, this is
Yeah,
my
dictating,
design
yeah.
and this is my aesthetic. This is what I can only do. But nowadays with technology, you need to play what's there in the market and try to put in your own aesthetic. It could be like laser cutting, or how can you put 3D printing on your patterns just to make it look very new.
very new? Okay. So as a fashion designer, How is it important to secure an international presence, and how did it work for you? I asked this question because I think you're one of the few designers who really started dressing up international personalities, and we've seen your work in the global stage.
Mhm.
Can you talk about that?
I mean, it's very important as a designer to be recognized internationally. Our first stint was during the America's Next Top Model.
Okay.
So during that time, it was like
You remember what year this was?
oh my gosh,
Oh,
I
few
forgot
years
which
back.
year.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's like the challenge was they gave me Hello Kitty items to work on.
Okay.
So I submitted my designs, and Tyra said, "Oh, Francis, make it more couture."
Okay.
So how couture do you want?
Yeah.
Play with stuffed toys, toothbrushes, band-aids, and turn them into couture pieces.
Okay.
So that was the challenge.
That was the challenge,
That
okay.
time, because it was so heavy, Pee-wee.
Yeah, I
Like
would assume.
all the collections was like crate into like wooden boxes to go to LA that time. After that season,
Yeah.
everything was just like so fast.
Yeah, and blowing up for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one after another. Twitter during that time was
Yeah.
still new.
Mm.
And my phone was like exploding with all the messages.
All the
that time.
messages. Okay. You mentioned that Anne Curtis modeled
Yeah,
it?
Ann Curtis, we did the intro for the ANTM was me and Ann Curtis in a really nice photo shoot
Mhm.
as my intro.
I see. Okay.
So it gave ANTM and also the Philippines like, hey, they have good designers
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah. That's great. That's amazing. I think I remember that episode.
Mhm. It opened up a lot of doors, dressing up Hollywood celebrities that
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
And I remember getting emails from stylists in Hollywood.
Abroad. Okay.
Yeah, can
Mhm.
you dress up this star? Can you dress up this star? So it really opened us in Hollywood.
Francis, I wanted to ask you, how did you make your name into a business, and what does it take to build a brand?
Okay.
Because you said a while ago that it was actually RC who said maybe we should use your name.
Yeah. During the time when I was starting, I was just enjoying being creative. Not being particular about the cost and everything. So RC as a businessman, he said to me that, everything should be calculated from this time on because even your time should be calculated.
Yeah.
He gave me the business sense in what I'm doing because I cannot be all creative.
Yeah.
And he would always tell me, you're a creative person, try to lower down a lot of things every time there's a fashion show.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it gave us a balance of what we're doing. At the end of the day, it's still a business.
Yes.
Yes, you're being creative and it's nice that you're earning from what you're doing.
Would you say that? Because I'm going to ask you the question of what does it take to build a brand? So you think it's a balance of the creative design and, of course, having the business acumen
Mhm.
to run.
If you see a lot of young designers right now, they love to be creative,
Yeah.
but the business aspect of what we're doing is such
It's
an important thing
Okay.
to sustain your business in the long run. That will really make your business last forever.
Francis, I also want to ask you about maybe creating a
Mhm.
collection. How do you approach the initial stages when you are about to produce or launch a collection?
Pee-wee, the hardest part in what we're doing is really the first step.
The first step. Okay.
Yeah, because you're trying to conceptualize something in your head.
Yeah.
How I start my design process is I have a nice view,
Okay.
very quiet. I smell the paper.
Okay.
I smell the pencil
Mhm.
when I sharpen them.
Yeah.
And that for me is a signal of, okay, it's time to work. But being creative, it never stops.
Mhm.
Even if I'm going to the gym
Yeah.
or if I'm working on something, my mind is really like
Constantly.
working and working and working
Okay.
for something. I don't stop until I'm very satisfied with my sketch in
With
front
your
of me.
sketch. Okay. How do you choose the materials for your creation, and how does texture play a role in your designs? Because we know that you also like to play with textures a lot.
Yeah. So in conceptualizing, I have a material already
In mind.
in mind.
Okay.
So sometimes if I travel, that type of material is what I'm looking for.
Mhm.
So in the design conceptualization, I study already what type of patterns, what type of details do I want? Do I want something new?
Yeah.
Do I need to have it embroidered,
Yeah.
bead, or is there a particular technique that I want to showcase in this collection? So it's all gathered in that
Yeah.
thought process.
Yeah, it's so
every time.
organized, your thought process.
I
Yeah.
guess being architecture played a big part
Okay.
in doing that. It
Mhm.
trained me to be really organized
Yeah.
in what I'm doing.
In design, huge conversation right now is sustainability.
Mm.
So I would assume that, you try to factor this in your design philosophy. And if you do, how do you do it?
I don't throw up my retazos.
Okay.
I have one big room full of it, and I would always play around with it.
Okay.
Like a detail for a petal, or an embroidery that I want for a border,
Yeah.
a beading that I want it to be texturized. I would always try to play around with what I have,
So maximize maybe.
maximize.
Yeah.
And I play around with a lot of vintage fabrics too.
As well.
So
Okay.
part of my travels is really sourcing.
Mhm.
We created a brand. It's called Francis Libiran, One Oak by Francis Libiran. So it's more of like a retail brand wherein, anything that's vintage that really has a nice embroidery to it.
Okay.
We try to make it into a shirt, shorts, or jacket.
Oh, that's interesting. When did you launch that?
We launched it, I think, October of this year.
October of
in
this
Davao.
year in Davao. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's nice, Francis, that you're trying to really integrate, sustainability
Mhm.
in your design process.
Every time I see a nice fabric, I don't want it to go to waste.
To waste. Oh,
Yeah, and
you want-
sometimes if I see let's say an old shirt and another shirt that I could combine together, I would do it just to make it look so unique.
Miss Universe season just wrapped up.
Yeah.
And we know that you're also an important player in the world of pageantry, as you've designed several winning gowns and previously, of course, Bea Luigi Gomez's final gown at the Miss Universe 2022 Coronation Night. We want to know the process behind it. Who reaches out to you regarding maybe the design or like you being picked to create the gown? And was it easy or difficult for you to craft designs for pageantry or beauty queens?
During the time, the organization reached out to me
Okay.
if I could design something for Bea,
For Bea.
for Miss Universe.
Mhm.
So I told them, what are your requirements?
Mhm.
So they said that, we just want this type of gown and this type. Knowing me, I would always like design options.
Yeah.
So when I presented to them, I had like 25 sketches on a
Wow.
cork board
That's
in
a
different
lot.
colors.
Yeah.
That's how excited I am,
Mhm, mhm.
So I invited them to my office and I told them, these are my different looks
Mhm,
and how I see Bea.
mhm.
So during the time, I haven't met Bea yet.
You haven't met her yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when we started talking, that's where I draw another 5 set for her because I saw her in person. I get to meet her, talk to her, and just a feel of what she really is
as a person. Yeah.
So Bea is a very simple candidate,
Mhm.
very quiet actually.
Yeah.
But when she's on the stage, she's very
Just presence.
fierce.
Yeah.
It's very different,
Mhm.
and that's what I banked on.
Mhm.
Attitude in front of the camera,
Yeah.
her stage presence. Said, okay, Bea has long legs. I need to put high slit.
Mhm. To
Her-
showcase or to
yeah.
highlight the.
The colors, I wanted to be very sexy on her
Mm.
to show off the silhouette of her figure
Mhm.
if the light hits it.
It's it. Yeah.
So for me, it's very important to study the candidate, how she is as a person, how she is on stage, and how she is when she carries herself. Confidence plays a big part in this pageant. It's not just the clothes.
Yeah.
It's really how you carry it in front of the world stage to see, to see how they walk, even how they turn. So
You
there's
have to consider
a lot of things.
a lot of
how-
thought process that goes through a design.
Yes.
Yeah, because you mentioned that you need to watch out for details like even the lighting, how it will hit.
Yeah, there's a certain type of beading you need to use in front of that lights that if it hits, it's like really diamonds on the stage.
So you really have to be strategic as well.
Yes.
Right?
It's not just being creative and just designing what
Yeah.
she wants to wear. It's really a combination of the one wearing it and how she carries it. That's very important.
And of course, you're a genius as well. How are you going to, put all those factors into play?
And there's a lot of rehearsals,
Yeah.
I remember Bea fitting her gown a few hours before she's heading to that country.
Mhm.
So I told her, can you walk? Let's see how it works. So we have to alter
Some of the
it.
design
Yeah.
element. Oh, wow. So would you say it is easier to design or difficult?
Very nerve-wracking.
Yeah,
Because with social media right now, you're exposed with a lot of criticism.
Yes.
You know how Filipinos are when it comes to pageant.
They have a lot of things they want to say. Yeah.
During the time in her preliminary presentation when she wore that red dress,
Mhm.
I said to RC, I want to fly to Boracay and just be out of
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Because people are very, they're invested. They have strong feelings.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they would even message me, personal message me, Francis, she's our candidate. You need to be really good with what you're doing. This design will work for her.
They have suggestions.
It's like, wow, there's so many designers.
Yeah. You've recently opened your largest flagship store
Mhm.
in Shangrila, which features both couture and ready to wear pieces for both men and women.
Yeah.
So, what made you decide to, open another boutique, and how did that come about?
Because there's a need for a bigger one.
Yeah.
So when we saw the Shangri-La space, it's 100 and plus square meters
That's huge.
of selections for our brides.
Mhm.
We would always really try to give a lot of selections
Mhm.
to our soon-to-be brides.
Mhm.
And it's a venue wherein they could try on, different styles that will suit them.
Suit them. So you wanted that
Yeah.
for them to experience that as
We
well.
wanted that experience wherein they can experience themselves how it looks like in an A-line or a serpentina gown, because sometimes brides are undecided. So sometimes they would just give me like, I want to look like Ann Curtis.
That's the peg.
Yeah, that's the peg. But I would always tell them, you know what, your shoulders are better than Ann Curtis. Let's show it off.
Yeah. Okay. How about your ready-to-wear pieces?
Mhm.
What is your goal in pursuing your RTW?
So our retail line, we just launched it last October, our cruise collection. So it's really like not really daily wear, but something that you would wear in an intimate dinner.
Mhm.
But there's always still the wow factor to it. The
You wanna
cuts
be
are
dressy.
simple,
Yeah.
but definitely it's not the ones that you see in a retail setting.
Mhm.
There's something different
Mhm.
that we want to offer our clients.
Okay. Of course, you are an established name in the industry. Do you still have struggles? Do you still face challenges?
Struggles are every day, Phoebe. So with what we're doing, it's really your attitude on how
Mm.
you will approach that challenge
Yeah.
or the struggle in your daily work.
Mhm.
It helps that you have a positive outlook
Yeah.
with what you're doing. Try to keep it not too exaggerated when it comes to anything. So
Mhm.
when there's a problem client and everything, it's always nice to meet your team
Yeah.
and find solutions to the
Mhm.
problem. It's really a teamwork. I cannot do it on my own. I have my business partner who controls my finances when it comes to being creative.
Yeah.
I have my
Yeah.
staff would
Yeah.
always tell me that here are the things that you need to do. You need to draw this and everything. So it's a team. It's like a family for us that, we work on a certain goal at the end of the day.
Francis, how do you stay informed about current fashion trends? Do you believe in following trends, or do you strive to create timeless pieces?
It's nice to know what trend
Mhm.
is in a particular season. I would always try to do my own
Mhm.
and try to do my own version of it,
Of the trend.
not really necessarily to follow what's out there. And for me, I'm old school.
Okay.
I still read magazines.
Mhm. You love
Opening
print.
it,
Yeah.
it's very
The
sacred
print
to me.
experience. Yeah.
Smelling it
Yeah.
before I read it. That's how I read my magazine.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're always stuck with, checking out what's new. somehow your identity as a designer will be lost somewhere. So it's better to just limit it
Yeah.
and try to create a clean slate
Yeah.
when you're trying to design something.
Yeah. And stick to your DNA
Yeah.
and maybe your
It's very important that you stick with your identity
Your
as
identity.
a designer.
Agree. I agree with that. I'm interested to know about what you think about young Filipino designers because there's a lot of them right now.
Yes.
And I feel like, of course, there's generations, and you
Mhm.
belong to a certain generation of
Mhm.
fashion designers. What do you think of the young ones now?
The young ones right now, they're very lucky because
Okay.
they have all the resources that they have in front of them. And also, they're very creative. They're very particular about their own look, which
Mhm.
is very good. During my time, there's like few schools in fashion, and it's like limited to I think 3 only that time. But
At that
right
time.
now, there's a lot.
Mhm.
You know, for young designers right now, I think when it comes to designing, they're like globally when it comes to their aesthetics. Streetwear, you see them a lot. You see how daily wear is coming also. So you see the different types of designers right now. That
There's
during
a lot
my
of
time, we're just doing
diversity.
couture.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
that the core business is really just made to measure.
Yeah.
But right now, I ask a lot of young designers. They would always tell me, "No, we want retail." And I said, "Why? Do you don't want a headache?"
of that because it's
Yeah.
also a special calling. Not everyone
It
can do
takes a
it.
certain personality to be very resilient and
Mhm.
patient when
Yeah.
it comes to dealing with clients.
Francis, knowing what you know now, can you give us maybe top 5 lessons that aspiring fashion designers should know if they're looking into entering the industry?
Mhm. Number one, know your foundation.
Okay.
It's very important that you know what you're doing, and
Mhm.
that comes with studying.
Mhm.
You know, knowing the foundations of creating a garment is very important.
Okay.
Number two, it's patience.
Mhm.
You don't need to be very fast when it comes to learning. Number three, try not to be afraid of committing a mistake.
Okay.
Mistakes are you need to learn from them, and that
Mhm.
will give you a roadmap on your future plans.
Mhm.
Next is have a business partner. That's very important
Yeah.
because if you want to last in this business,
Mhm.
you really need to set that early on actually in your
Mhm.
career,
Mhm.
that you know the cost and everything, and you know how to price your garment
Mhm.
according to your talent,
Yeah.
you know. And I think my fifth is being adaptable,
Adaptable to
you know,
change and
to
yeah.
change. You cannot just be, you know, stuck in what you're doing. You
Mhm.
need to constantly evolve
Mhm.
and change the ways and what you're doing.
How do you envision the future for your brand? What's next for Francis Libiran?
The direction of our brand right now is really going to retail. Couture is something that I love to do, but of course, maybe I'm getting older. So I need to really pace myself on, you know, the challenges of like a couture designer. It takes out a lot of energy sometimes when you face a client because of the expectations. You know, you need to prep yourself and everything. But our direction right now is really going retail. Yeah, so my designs is accessible to, you know, a lot of people already.
So we're excited for that.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, for because like we want to see that the couture ideas or pieces translated also in ready to
Yeah.
wear, and I'm sure you will find a way to marry that and to integrate it in your
Mhm.
designs. Thank you so much, Francis, for
Thank
joining
you.
us today.
Thank you for having me.
I feel so honored to, talk with you and sit with you today. I feel like I know you better.
Oh, thank you.
And hopefully our listeners and followers got a valuable lesson from this conversation.
Thank you very much.
So Francis, what is your next move?
Make it big, make it mega.
Thank you. We have flowers from Ginger Flowers.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Wow. Thank you very much.
Thank you again, Francis. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on another episode of The Next Move. This has been your host, Pee Reyes Isidro. If you enjoyed our conversation and want more updates, subscribe to the Mega channel. Bye, everyone.